it just keeps going into a record mode, but it doesn't let me get out of this. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. So sorry about that. I've got on a minute or two late here trying to fix this problem. And I'm still trying to go here because we do have several folks that watch every day on Instagram. So for the life of me, I cannot figure out what is... See, I go there and it goes directly into, see, it's recording right now and it's going directly into that. So I have no idea what the problem is that is causing my Instagram problem. So if you have been an Instagram viewer, I don't know I don't know. So I wanted to get on here and say hi before it was too late, but I cannot fix this Instagram problem. So I don't know what to do. Anyway, hi. How's everybody doing? Dwayne, good to see you. Great to have you here. Mario, hey, thank you. I appreciate you joining today. And happy Sunday, everybody. We're here every day at this time, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, with our daily get-together to talk about what's going on in the world and everything that's happening. And I'm sure glad that you are here. Got a bunch of folks on here today. So glad you're watching. Usually Sunday is the day. I'm going to try this Instagram one more time here. Let's see. Now, nope, it immediately goes into a recording thing that I don't want. That is the craziest thing. All these people starting live videos, and I just don't know if there's an Instagram expert on or not, but at any rate, it just automatically sends it into a recording, and that is not what I want. And I can't figure out why. Oh, well. Sorry for the Instagram viewers, but we'll fix that and figure that out here and get it done. Charles, happy March 80th. Absolutely. Today, March 80th. Glad that you are here. Welcome back to another edition of Groundhog Day, because that's what we've got. So I want to talk to you about a couple of things today. It is very interesting reading the Sunday New York Times. And, oh, hey, Rita, great that your son is watching today. FFA is everything to me. That's how I got... every opportunity in my life that is good has been presented because I was a member of Crothersville FFA, and so I'm really glad that he is there watching with you, because FFA can change your life in so many ways. And there's Linda, way to represent Crothersville FFA on our broadcast today. So absolutely, I should say Ms. Myers. So glad to have you here today. Rick, good to see you, my friend. Glad that you're here. Thank you for watching in Indy. I guess you are today, probably. As we're all locked down at home, so I'm assuming that you're there. So it's really good to see everybody. We're really having windy weather today in Las Vegas. Don't know where you are in the world, but it's really been amazing over the last few days to watch how many people are watching this literally all over the world. We have a couple folks that you'll see on here quite regularly who watch live in the United Kingdom. But, every day I kind of go back and I look, and our daily average is just a little bit under 1,000 people that watch this every day live and through the replay, and on all the different channels if you add them together. And it's just amazing that people are watching this all over the world, just looking for a little bit of, positive reinforcement and some ideas about what they can do to make things better as we go through this just incredibly difficult and challenging situation. I don't know what the right word for it is. Pandemic, whatever word you want to put on it. It is amazing that so few of us have experienced this kind of thing before, right? I mean, one of the things that we're finding is that, Charles says they're preparing the Queen to speak, which is quite unusual and quite interesting. I'll be very, very interested to see what she has to say. I thought Prince Charles, speaking of Charles, I thought Prince Charles really did a fantastic job. I don't know if you watched the video of his little talk that he gave the other day. He is in isolation. He tested positive. He went through the illness, and so it doesn't matter if you're royalty or homeless. This impacts you, And it was really, I thought he did a really good job. I've never, never seen him do much in terms of speaking. You see the pictures of him shaking hands or doing something like that, but he really did a terrific job. So it'll be interesting to see how the Queen responds to this. Sherry, always great to see you, and thank you for watching today back home. So a couple things really struck me I wanted to pass along to you, and one is we have joked here. If you haven't watched before, one of the things we've joked about is that there's going to be a whole new generation of kids, another baby boom that comes out of this. We even joked that they were going to be called the coronials, out of the coronavirus and all of that. And a very, very interesting thing that I read today said, in fact, that probably will not happen. First of all, it would be challenging if it did. It probably shouldn't happen. And the reason that it shouldn't happen is now would be a pretty terrible time to be pregnant in terms of the healthcare situation, your access to doctors, your access to medical care, because everything, all the resources obviously are being devoted with what's happening with the virus. So, that becomes a particular challenge in and of itself, right? So it would probably be a pretty lousy time to be pregnant and worrying about what happens if you get infected or what happens to that. But because they're social distancing, right? I mean, yeah, hard to make babies when you have to be 6 feet away, right? So, but we were kind of joking. So many couples were going to be locked down, that kind of thing. Charles says social distancing between mates. I saw a guy posted on Twitter something that said, my wife and I are playing a game called "Why Did You Do It Like That?" He said, by the way, there are no winners in this game. There are no winners. But that's one of the, and then that led to the other interesting thing, I think, from the study, is that it said that, first of all, it'd be a lousy time to get pregnant. But one of the things they found as they study this is if the event is a night or two, like the blackout in New York back in the 60s, or an event like the Oklahoma City bombing. They even talked about, strange as that is, people want to cuddle, they want to be close. It shuts down things for a day or two. That's when we see the spike in births. But they don't typically see a spike in births when it lasts over a longer period of time, because couples are concerned, but yet they are, there's not a single event that makes them want to be close. But here's the other thing, and it's funny, but it's tragic at the same time. What really spikes are divorces after everything gets back to normal. And part of what it speculated was that, we spend 8 hours at work and maybe an hour getting there and back, okay? And you might sleep for 7 hours. And that means you've only got about 7 or 8 hours at home every day. And now you've gone from, and even there, we're doing other things. And you go from that to 24/7, every day at home, every day, over and over and over. And couples kind of find that they can't communicate. And so what they find is that couples assume it's easier to break off that relationship and try to start another one than it is to fix the one they already have. And it's kind of funny to think that, it's ironic and amusing. We could talk about, divorces spike after couples have been together for so long. But there is really an irony and a sadness to the fact that people end up believing that it's better to start over than it is to fix what they've already had. Toilet cleaning 101, Charles says, took place at our house this morning, led by my DI wife. There you go. Tammy has been cleaning like a man. I mean, I tell you, our house is unbelievably spotless. I am putting on weight like you can't believe. My wife is just the most incredible cook, and I travel so much with what I do. We've really enjoyed this extended period of time together. We have played cards every night. Fortunately, it's alternated almost every night by the night who wins our rummy tournament in the McCain household. But it's really, there's a sadness there to think that we'd rather cash in our chips and go someplace else than to fix what we already have. So one of the things I just want to humbly suggest is that, there you go, kisses and smiles from my wife there. I tell you what, we have eaten like you can't believe. The food that she has made is just over the moon. And I'm so thankful for that. But anyway, well, one of the things I want to suggest is now might be a good time to think about some of the things we've talked about earlier on this get-together with our spouses. For example, one of the things that's on our 14-day program on distinctionnation.com that's absolutely free for you is a quiz on priorities. And one of the things I've mentioned before, but in case you missed it, one of the things that's really fascinating about it is that my number one priority was individualism. I want to be able to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, at the pace I want to do it. That is more important to me than anything. I don't want any restrictions. And Tammy's number one was security. Now, if you think about it, I'm in a pretty insecure job, right? It's depending on other people booking me to speak. There's no weekly paycheck, a huge variation in terms of income. Many of you are in the same situation. And so I have probably the least secure position out there that you can imagine. And so part of what we realized early on in our marriage and early on in our relationship is many of the conflicts came that everything I was trying to do was to add more independence. And everything that she was trying to do was to add more security. And it wasn't until you can't fix a problem that you haven't identified. You cannot fix a problem that you haven't identified. And so we identified the problem and we work on it. It doesn't mean that everything is perfect 24/7. We are not that Instagram couple. You know, you go on Instagram and it's so funny. Everybody's life is so perfect. It's I've got a friend, Chris, who said that really we're all like professional wrestlers. You know, we use our own names, but we have this character that we put out there on the media as opposed to the ones in our real lives. And I thought that was pretty funny that, we create these characters on social media, but it doesn't reflect the challenges. I won't mention his name, but there is a speaker in my profession of speaking that rented a Rolls Royce for an hour to get his picture taken in front of the Rolls Royce to use in his marketing material to make himself look more successful. Come on. What's wrong with being real? What's wrong with being transparent? And part of what we have to do is to communicate with each other in a real and meaningful and transparent way. Ben says nothing was broken there, so nothing to fix. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing broken, nothing to fix. So Ann says, I miss restaurant tea. That's interesting. Yeah, that's very cool. So, well, and that was one of the other things that this article pointed out that I thought was so fascinating was that baby boomers probably grew up where you couldn't go out to eat all the time. Baby boomers grew up in a time where you couldn't go out and eat all the time, where you were, there wasn't as much on television. You were expected to entertain yourself, and that the younger generations are certainly having a more difficult time. Not blaming them, but just saying because of how they grew up, the instant accessibility to everything makes the fact that you have to stay home. What do you mean I got to stay home? It's not even on their radar screen. Many of us remember grandparents who told us about the Great Depression, and man, that's ancient history book stuff if you're 25, 30 years old today. So it's nobody's fault. I mean, it's just the way that it is, that we didn't, people have grown up, and I mean, you could be 40 years old, and you've grown up with instant accessibility to everything. And the fact that that's not there anymore now creates this incredible change. Human beings are creatures of habit. If you see me speak, you see me do this. It's the oldest example in the world. And if you're listening on our Distinction Radio, please don't do this if you're driving or whatever. But if you're just if you want to prove it, just fold your arms and just sit there with your arms folded for just a second. Okay, on the count of three, when I hit three, I want you to reposition your arms so the other arm is on top. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And doesn't that just feel awkward? It's amazing. It just feels so awkward. And the reason is because we do it this way all the time without thinking about it. And some psychologists say that for about 62% of the people that just reversed your arms, it's the first time in your life that you've ever sat with the other arm on top. We are such creatures of habit. We fold our arms and we live our lives the same way all the time. And then bang, this comes along and it feels so uncomfortable. And that discomfort that we are all feeling right now, that's called normal. In other words, we say, oh, when things get back to normal, well, there's going to be a new normal to a degree next. But the other aspect is this: the discomfort that we're feeling now, that's normal. That it shows that we're normal because we're feeling discomfort at this incredible change we've gone through, that we can't go out and do what we want to do when we want to do it, that we can't go to the store, or go to the restaurant, or go to the bar, or go to a buddy of mine, Tom Webster, posted just the most eloquent thing yesterday about what he realized was how much he missed bars. Not that he missed necessarily the alcohol. That's not what he was saying. What he missed is watching professionals at work and hospitality, and watching people in conversation, and the chance to strike up a conversation with a stranger and learn about where they're from and what they're doing, and all of the things that surrounds that, and how different a dive bar is from an elegant bar at a nice hotel, and it's just the variety of experiences there. And the connection. That's what he's missing. And I just thought that was so profound. I miss the bars, not because I miss the drinks, but because I miss the connectivity. And the fact that we're missing it, the fact that that makes us uncomfortable, is normal, just as it feels awkward when we fold our arms the other way. So what we have to understand is that we're all going through this together. And that's part of why we get together here every day. And that this places stress and challenge on communication. It places stress and challenge on relationships, personal relationships, business relationships. I was on the phone yesterday with a friend of mine who works with a speakers bureau. And that's how folks like me get booked for many of our engagements, is where a speakers bureau will kind of like what a travel agent would do to book you on a cruise. A speakers bureau will be the middle person that helps get you booked for a speech. And it was kind of interesting because one of the things that she said was, Scott, I noticed that you didn't send us a bunch of stuff telling us about how you do virtual keynotes and how you do virtual programs. I said, I kind of figured I would rather be there and just ask you how you're doing and ask for help. Look, I mean, you realize if you want me to do something, I'll do it in this time that's so crazy. We can figure something out. So I figured I didn't need to be telling you that. She said that's really why you've gone to the top of our list. And I was kind of confused. And she said, because everybody else has got on the phone and tried to sell us something. Hey, I can do this. I can do that. And she said, we assumed you could do it. You don't need, these people don't need to be calling us, selling us. But here we are in our toughest period of time in terms of making things happen in our company. And the people that are supposed to be there to help us and support us are the people that are now trying to sell us. And it's very frustrating. And it gets back to what we've talked about here before about this is a time to help, not a time to sell. This is a time to encourage, not a time to challenge. This is a time to find ways to be together, not find ways to drive one another apart. So it gets back to all that, whether it's divorce in marriage or divorce in professional relationships or whatever it might be. If you missed yesterday's program, it's still up online. We talked about how Jack Miller, the CEO of the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess, had to let 1,100 employees go. There's no, the hotel's open, but there's no need to have maids, for they just can't afford it. But what he can afford and what he is doing is feeding their families twice a week for free. So on Tuesdays and Fridays, in case you missed it, we talked about it in detail yesterday, but on Tuesdays and Fridays, everybody can come in and eat lunch for free because he says, I can't wait to hire these folks back as soon as business picks back up. So it reconnects them with family. See, people are going to remember those things. And that's part of what we have to do, is to make certain that we continue that connectivity and continue to encourage each other in a way that's powerful and compelling and sincere and genuine. That's what it's all about. Let's see. Ann says, not the same as in front of his Civic. Yeah, exactly. The guy in the Rolls Royce, parks his, rents a Rolls Royce for a couple of hours, parks his Honda Civic off to the side, and gets these big pictures taken of how successful he is. It's a good grief. It makes me think like he's the Clampets or something. We didn't have restaurants in Brownstown, maybe one, so it was a treat back in the 60s. Brock's, yeah, I remember the first time that I met the Oak Ridge boys. Two of us, the boss of the radio station I work for in Scottsburg and me, and two of the Oak Ridge boys we were at the Jackson County Fair, and we went downtown Brownstown and went to Brock's, and they said it was one of the best hamburgers they ever had. It was a great restaurant. Boy, that's a trip in the Wayback Machine there, Mr. Peabody. Getting inundated with people telling me how I can do so much more in my business, and I should do it now. LinkedIn has become, in some ways, a cesspool of sales. I am so frustrated that every time I open LinkedIn, it is somebody wanting to sell me, prospecting on LinkedIn so I can irritate my clients the way that they're irritating me. And I just hate that. Mario, you bet. That's the way the taxi driver did it. Yeah, Taxi Terry, you're very welcome. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. That's my favorite story I've ever told, is the story about the taxi driver in Jacksonville, Florida, and the incredible inspiration that he has been and continues to be. As a matter of fact, Laura Otting, who wrote an incredible book called Limitless, was just right before all this happened, was giving a speech in Jacksonville and called Terry to pick her up and take her to the speech, and just had a great time with him. So Taxi Terry is doing great. I appreciate that. So here's what we talked about today: the importance of communication. How ironically, during times that we are together, that many times we fail to communicate with the people with whom we ought to be communicating the most. So rather than push our chips in and cash in, why don't we work on what we've got? And why don't we build the bridges with the people that we already are connected to? So whether it is in our personal lives or whether it's in our professional lives, the biggest message that we can get out, the most important message we can get out right now is, hey, I'm here. I'm here, and I care about you, and I want to check on you, and we're going to get through this together, and we're going to figure it out, and just step by step. Hey, Joe, thanks for coming in from Twitter Periscope. I teach sales, the best sales to allow people to sell themselves by our actions. Yeah, I talk with salespeople about that all the time, Joe, is that modeling the behavior that we want to see from them. It's the way to sell. It's the way to manage. Great leaders, their example speaks so much that the employees know how they should act. A friend of mine worked in the White House under President Reagan. I'm not trying to make this a political message at all. That's not what I'm saying here, just in terms of style. And he said Reagan was so clear on what was important to him and conducted himself in the office in such a, because think about it, the White House, that's why they call it the Oval Office. My buddy worked in the West Wing, and it's an office, right? It's doing incredible things, but at the end of the day, you go to work and you're going to an office. And he said he conducted himself with such dignity, and he was so clear about what he wanted. You never had to worry, gee, what would the boss want me to do here? That it was always very clear about, now, you and I may agree or disagree on, was that the right thing? That's a political policy discussion. But from a leadership function, I just found that absolutely fascinating, that my pal never wondered what he should be doing because the leader's example was so clear, he always knew. And I think the same thing's true in sales. If we lead by example, then we attract, and the customers we attract will always be more valuable than those we've had to pursue. So, Mario, yeah, thanks for what you said about sales. So many people advising to sell right now, but it hasn't been laying my heart giving right now. I appreciate you saying that. It's, one of the things we talked about before in a previous episode was that, there's an old cliche that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I think there's a variation of that as it comes to this time and as it comes to sales or whatever it might be. And that is, they're not ready for our answer if they have yet to formulate their question. In other words, this is such a time of change and of flux and where people just don't know. Because on one hand, Easter's next Sunday, and we hear the president saying, a while back that, I want to have us back out there by Easter. And that ain't going to happen. And so when is it going to happen? And we don't know. Now, I am not criticizing President Trump. I heard an interesting thing the other day is they think that in his mind, he's kind of like being your trainer at the gym that says, okay, give me 10. And you give him 10, and they go, okay, now one more. Right? That once they get you to 10, now they can encourage you to do it. Now, I don't know if I agree with that or not. I just thought it was an interesting philosophy, not political on this at all. But my point is, we don't know the target. The problem for most of us isn't change. The problem for most of us is the unknown that accompanies change. And when we don't know, will this pass? We don't know if after this passes, will there be a second wave of infection? All those things we don't know. And that unknown means that they're not ready for our answer until in their mind they can formulate a question. We are always taught to sell to the needs or the wants of the customer. So what happens when the customer is in a situation where they have no idea what they need or no idea what they want? I mean, they want this to be over. We can't deliver that. They need this to be changed. We can't deliver that. So what do we do? So it's challenging. It's challenging. And there's no silver bullet. There's no quick fix, easy answer. The best that we can do is to be there to help and to be humble and to be transparent and to be sincere and to encourage people where they are. That's the best we got. And that's the best I got for today. Joe, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Dee Dee, great to see you, leading by example. Hey, Lowell, I didn't know you were here. It's great to see you. I appreciate that. I hope it has contributed to all of us. You know, Lowell, you brought this up, and I wasn't going to mention it. It's kind of funny you brought it up. I need this as much as I hope it delivers for you, because I think by going through this process and all of us talking in a positive way, it's certainly helped me to be here. And I for you to say that it's helped you, that's important too. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for taking time to view this today. And I look forward to connecting with you again tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'm here every day at 3 o'clock, noon Pacific, and I look forward to talking to you then. By the way, I'm going to hope to have a couple guests on this coming week. We're going to kind of vary it a little bit. I've got some buddies who are authors who are going to join me in the coming week. So look forward to that. Thank you, Dee Dee. I appreciate that. Thanks for your comments. And stay tuned. Come back, because going to have some fun this coming week with a couple of friends who are going to be joining. We'll bat some things around. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you watching. Means the world to me that you're here, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.